Welcome to the Property Nomads Podcast, and welcome to an episode that will give you an update on travel and everything we're doing with the travel section of the podcast. In the last episode, I mentioned about Mexico 2022 and how much fun that was, and then also laid out some generic top tips for staying safe abroad. Please do remember your bum bags when you go abroad. I'd highly recommend them. And in episodes previous to that, we also spoken about the fact that we were looking to go to the Middle East, Qatar 2022 World Cup. For one reason or another, those plans haven't come to fruition. So rather than having Thursday episodes moving forward all about, our time away and our experiences away, we've had to recalibrate a few things, rethink a few things. And Aaron came up with a fantastic idea. Came up with the idea that we have been to so many different places in Europe and the world, of course. But we've been to so many different places to watch football that we should deep dive into those experiences, the places we went, foods that we would have tried, and, see how things are nowadays in comparison to, some of the trips that we've done years gone by. So the purpose of this is to let you know that that's what's coming ahead in the next few months. Now, even if you don't like football, don't worry. We're not going to bore you with, every single intricate detail of football. You don't have to like football in order to appreciate the content that we're going to be giving out. Yeah, we might reflect quickly on the game itself, but we're going to be looking at the places we've been, the people that we were with, and how those memories and those experiences have helped us. Also, as you know, from traveling around, that you can have a bunch of experiences, and the fact that you can remember things years and years down the line must mean that they must have been memorable in some way, shape or form. So we'll be bringing a touch of that over to the next few months of the travel episodes. We might touch upon some games that we've been to in South America. We might touch upon some other random experiences that we've had when we sat down and wrote down a list of different things that we've seen sporting wise. We realised that we've done a lot of things between us. Final of Euro 2021, semi-final of Euro 2021, the one that England were in, World Cup games, European Championships, Copa Libertadores finals, Copa Sudamericana. Myself, I've been to the CONCACAF Champions League final in 2022. That was in Mexico City. Happened to be there, right place, right time. Some of these trips weren't ridiculously planned. It's a case of right place, right time. We've also seen the Europa League final in Azerbaijan, as you do. And we've seen some very, very crazy games in our lifetime. Probably the most bonkers atmosphere-wise, the Old Firm derby, which just, even when you try and explain the levels of abuse, it's unfathomable. It's just incredible. So as football fans, as football lovers, we are going to dive into this wonderful archive that we have of years and years of going to various different games and in different cities and in different countries as well. So that's going to be the next few months of the Thursday episodes of the podcast. A little bit self-indulgent. We're also going to try not to focus necessarily too much on the football side. We're going to be looking at the places that we've been, jogging memories as well. So stay with us for Thursdays moving forward on the Property Nomads podcast. A secondary update on that is that we do have a trip booked up for early 2023, and that is to go to Turin. Again, the principal idea of that trip is to go and watch some football, ideally Torino. They're playing Bologna on the weekend that we're thinking of going. But there's also a couple of other games that we might be able to go and see as well. Turin is not somewhere that you might necessarily think of instantaneously when you think of visiting a place in Italy. But rest assured, my brother is going with us, and also our friend Dan as well. And my brother likes to believe he's quite a cultured individual, and he was happy with Turin. So if it's good enough for him, it's going to be good enough for the rest of us. And that's going to be in March 2023. I'm out and about again in Mexico next year, getting married. So that'll be an experience. So again, there's going to be a lot of content coming up as we look to get out and about on the road once more. Why haven't we been out and about on the road as much this year as we would have liked? A couple of reasons. Pricing of the Qatar World Cup and logistics, when we really knuckled down into it, realised that even with the budgets that we have at the moment, that maybe this would far exceed the budgets that we set out. And also when we thought back on it and realised that we were lucky enough to be in Brazil in 2014, we thought against going. Doesn't mean we won't go at some point, but we'll go when there's not a World Cup on in that area. And also there's been a lot of talk about accommodation and basically the whole world descending on not in effect a country, but a big city, Doha itself. So we'll watch from afar. We'll watch from a distance to see what happens. Secondly, a lot of property stuff going on. I appreciate this is a travel episode, so I won't dig into all the property stuff going on. There's been a lot of survey work. There's been a lot of deals that we've been looking at, a lot of things going on despite all the economic circumstances at present. And we just felt that the time was right to strike on those opportunities. And that's taken up a lot more of our time as well. But as we view property as a very long-term game, the more property that we have, the more financial freedom that gives us and the more opulent we can be with our travels. And that's what we're working for moving forwards. So that's as we are. There will be Turin in 2023 that we look forward to reporting back on. We will be going through various adventures that we've had that have been revolved around football over the next few months. There's some cracking stuff coming up. And it all started with an initial idea years and years ago of 53 games and 53 countries. That is to go around Europe and watch a game of football in each country. I use the term country very loosely. That brings up a whole debate in itself. How do you define a country? What's European? Is this technically correct? Blah, 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 blah. So we're going to go into that initially next week. And then we'll start from the very beginning, which was an incredibly tediously dull game in Manchester. And we're going to work through and rekindle some of the memories that we had of years gone by. So hopefully that keeps you up to date. We apologise that we're not out and about as much as we would like to be, visiting different parts of the world. There's a lot of property stuff going on and other things going on in the background that have required our attention. But rest assured, we will keep you entertained for the next few months with all these other related activities and memories. And then hopefully 2023, as I say, we start with Turin in March. That's when we go. And hopefully from there, we'll be able to go visit more places, see more things, and be able to provide you with great content. Thank you for your feedback that you give us for the podcast. We appreciate that we deal with a lot of property and business stuff on Mondays, and we appreciate that we do travel segments on Thursdays, and also that there is, we're dealing with two different customer groups as such, or listener profiles, people that like travel but not necessarily property, and people that like the property stuff but not necessarily the travel stuff. So thank you for everyone for sticking with us. That's where we are with the travel podcast. And we will start next week. We'll start at the very beginning, 53 games, or the concept of 53 games and 53 countries. Until next time.